Alright, I rigged up a temporary battery from an old motorcycle battery I have, and I want to light high beam, low beam. The spot lamps both work. Parking lamps. Rear one's working as well. It's working as well. Oh, and the indicator's up on the dash. That was working as well. Voltmeter works. I'm already down to 11 on this old battery, my test battery. That's all right. One reason you clean is because you're watching where your hands are going, and sometimes you pick up on some details. Notice there's a cap on this tube, not one on here. And I happen to have some leftover stuff from when I built that bike. I happen to have just one left. So let's see if I can get you in the... There. I'll pay for that one, Jason. This is why I like detailing. Here's before, here's after. A friend of mine gave me this cabinet. It's a commercial grade cabinet. I had a Harbor Freight one I used for years, and it's okay, but you know, it barely got the job done. This one is so much nicer. Now, I did give him some money for it because it is an expensive unit. Still kind of clunky for me to get used to here. One of the first times I'm using it. That's a beast. Thank God for this table here that pops out, because you can use it to jack the bike up and down and get yourself all aligned, because you got the bracket, a spacer, two spacers on the other side. They all have to go in at the same time, so you have your end-to-end clearance, which I think is 3 to 5 thousandths, but I'll check that later. I decided to clean this all once it's on the bike. I think it's easier because I can rotate it, and I'm going to detail the wheel. This was all balanced as an assembly, the drive pulley and the rotor on this side all together, so that's kind of cool. I see new weights down here, so she should be rolling real nice and smooth. All right, 15 to 20 foot-pounds. I got about 18. Brakes are installed. Once this is finished draining here, I'm putting in new brake fluid. So once that's finished draining, I'll hook it up. 43 outside today. It's supposed to be sunny, so that's a good start. Go straight out to the garage. See, the heat's already on. And let's get on the bike. No, not that one. Back on Jason's bike here. Put slide on that area. So, I've got a full day on the bike today, which is the first I've had. So, today, got to finish aligning the rear end. I got the tool here. It's just a coat hanger. You're supposed to have a 1/8 thick welding rod, so it's more stiff. And I got that coming Saturday, so I'm going to leave everything kind of loose. But it's set up well enough now I can put it back on the ground here. The other thing I got to do is get this belt tightened, which you're supposed to do that with the bike down and the weight of one rider. So a minor adjustment there. So today, I think I'd like to get this engine turned over, maybe do a compression check. I did get a battery installed. Our HD battery as requested, or Harley Davidson I should say. Now that I got the rear wheel done, including the brakes and everything, I went ahead and cleaned the top part of the intake valves best I could with a scratch awl, and then blew it all out, put in some brake fluid, flushed it out, so that's nice and clean. And then I surfaced here, just using sandpaper, and I like using a what they call tongue depressor, so you get a little bit of flatness, making sure you're not getting it rounded off or whatever. A little bit hard to get into. And take manifold is next with new seals, and this makes me look smart because right now I'm struggling. So yeah, I got to back off those nuts a little bit. One thing I'm doing, because I am very complete, some people would say anal, I work on my own stuff the same way, is every bolt that comes out goes back in the same hole. For instance, these 4 bolts are all the same, doesn't matter where they go, but I really like originality. No one's ever going to know it, no one's ever going to see it, but Jason knows, and that's one reason I think he picked me, is because he knows that's the way I work. Intake manifolds on, and torque to 6 to 10 foot-pounds. I was able to get to the front ones with this, but I cannot get to the back, so you have to use your own judgment. And I can only get an Allen key in there, so that's all I can do. But on to the next thing. Next thing I want to do is get some oil down into the cylinders before I crank different areas without doing too much. There's not a whole lot you can do to, of course, you can get it to run on the downside. I'm hoping I can get it around. Alright, let's got some oil in the cylinders. Of course, it's only on the bottom half. I couldn't get it quite where I needed it. But I'm going to turn it over, and we're out of gear. Tires off the ground just in case. Well, not, but... Alright, look down the cylinders again, see what we got. Alright, we're in the front cylinder, looking for about 150 psi. That is 175. Alright, we'll get the next one. The rear cylinder now. Let's see, 60, that'd be 173 or 4. They need to be within 10% of each other, so I think we did all right there. The spark plugs are installed, the new spark plugs are installed, gap to 40, and they came out of the box that way, but I checked them. The torque is 18 to 22 foot-pounds, and I set that at, those spark plugs are installed. I did not replace the wires because this has been changed since new, so I'm going to assume they're not as old. I mean, it's been stored since 2004, but that doesn't feel like it's clicking. So we'll start the bike, and if we need to change them, fairly inexpensive, but yeah, so we're all done. I saw this kit on another channel, and man, has it come in handy. There are a lot of different sizes in there. I actually found one to plug off where the petcock goes. So what I'm going to do is just put some fuel in it here. I've got a little bit, there's no ethanol in this fuel, but I'm going to use it to shake it around, clean up a little bit what I can, and then I can just dump it in my parts cleaner. Boy, I make a mess here. Worried about. Yeah, works. There we go. There, there's a good shot. So that's the bottom. You can just see the threads of the petcock, so that's good. And what we're looking at in the very end there, I think is just injection molding, but that tank is clean, so Jason, we dodged a bullet. We can use this tank no problem. Been working with this for about 20 to 30 minutes after different chemicals, letting it soak in the carburetor cleaner. I think we have a good petcock now. This one, like I said, is aftermarket. Good brand name, though. These are well known, the Prindles. So I think as long as it doesn't leak, we'll have that fixed now. So we're on to the carburetor next. While I was at the Harley Davidson dealership to get the wheel, or the tire installed on the wheel, I got to talking with the general manager and told him about the project and asked him if there was any tips he could think of, and one of them, of two, had to do with the diaphragm. Replace the diaphragm because they always go bad sitting that long. And that dude was $54, but we're trying to save the original carburetor, which is $304, and they're not available anymore. They are obsolete. So we're trying to save this one. This isn't supposed to turn. I have noticed there's a crack down here. So this is just a press fit. Doesn't matter if we bust it because it's got to come out anyway. And then it's a matter of digging this out, and it's replaced with a all brass unit. So we're going to put that in first, make sure that's good to go, and then we'll continue with the rebuild. My Knipex pliers here, I got a good grip, good grip on the brass. It's real soft, and I'm using my pick here to kind of pry up on it. Not too boldly, because again, I don't want to bust the carburetor. Just enough to put some pressure on it as I turn it. I think I'm gaining ground here. Yes, awesome. All right. If you're interested, there's a replacement part. It gets rid of the plastic altogether. I started with a hammer, and it's not seated yet. I want to make sure that it's pointing the right direction. So once I get the carburetor rebuilt and in place, then we'll make sure it's heading the right direction, and then we'll finish tapping it in, and that'll be seated, and that thing won't move, and it's not broke anymore. So let's get on with the carburetor. So I'm having problems with this screw because it's full of this varnish gas. Can't get a screwdriver there, and you can see here I actually picked off a piece, but that's what old gas does to you when it's dried up. It turns into this really cakey stuff. It's easy to get off if you can gain access, but the problem is in carburetors, there's a lot of things you can't get into. So hopefully yep, I still can't get that. Let's see what I can do. My brother got me a set of these bits for Christmas, and we are going to take advantage of that tool. Let's see if I can get you in a little closer and set you up here with this. So what this tool does is, as you hit with the hammer, it drives this in a turning motion. So you're putting pressure down and turning the screw at the same time. And success. Now we can save the screw and move on. As expected, we've got not only busted and completely shattered diaphragm here, but it's full of deposits from fuel. I got it over a pan, so in case things start popping on me, I can hopefully catch it. So, all right. Yeah, not too bad actually. Just discoloration from the varnish, but the float works. The needle's moving, but that's actually better than I thought. Cool. So the general manager I was talking to about this project and the fact that the carburetor was jammed up, he suggested just brake cleaner on the actual butterfly here itself to see if we can't get the pivot points freed up. There's definitely varnish color stuff coming out of it. This is about empty. Yeah, if I can get down in there or not. Have to get a new can. I tell you what, luck is continuing. Glad I talked to these guys that know what they're doing. Makes me look like I know what I'm doing. Look at there. That didn't take but a few minutes. Still a little slow to react, but that'll come with time. There's another frustration. These blonde lights from Harbor Freight. I like the fact that they have a magnet and you can bend this, but I can't get a year out of these things without this light going bad. This is the second one I had. And the second one I'm throwing away because it's brand new charge and I just can't keep it on. So that is going in the trash, unfortunately. Alright, accelerator pump diaphragm, springs underneath, little tiny O-ring here that I almost forgot. But looking in the kit and looking at the diagram, figured it out. So along with all the other little parts that go in a carburetor, I think I got it all together here. We are done with the carburetor. This is very satisfying to see that come together. So I think we're all good. Just got our, well, the seal's already on the intake, but we got a gasket here and we can finish this up. Well, moment of truth. I'm starting with the old oil in it to make sure there's not an overflow in the crankcase like we had talked about before. The fuel's on. I don't see any leaks so far. It's in neutral. So let's see if it starts and runs, and turn the choke on. And then we'll do some adjustments. Let's make sure it runs here. Pretty satisfied with that. The oil pressure light went out. We're charging. A little bit of a backfire, but I think we're not completely warmed up. It's only about 45 in here, maybe 50. So it might be just enough, not enough warm-up time, but she runs, man. Sounds good. Yeah, no mufflers on it, so it's a little loud. But I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll let all the oil go back into the crankcase. We'll change the oil. I'm going to open up the primary next and make sure all that's good to go. Change the primary fluid, the transmission fluid. Then continuing our inspection, and we got the front brakes and the front wheel, our tire to replace, and some detailing. I want to clean this headlight. Yeah, the headlight works. It's just kind of fogged up. It's H4 bulb you can take out. You can kind of get in there, clean it. I want to try that. So yeah, good. I'm happy.